Hey everyone, this is Patrick, and it is time for another edition of Heavy Therapy. This is another first impression video. A first impression video is just when I go over my initial thoughts and feelings while I listened to new releases that came out on the previous Friday. So I got to 5 releases that came out on August 8th, 2025, and let's go through them. First up is an EP, the only EP I got to this week so far, and the band is called Pustulant Flesh. The EP is called Gurgling Pustulence. 7 tracks, 20 minutes of music out on Extremely Rotten Productions. And they sound like an Extremely Rotten Productions band. If you know what that means, you'll know if you're going to, like this or not. These bands sort of blend old school death metal with modern sensibilities in terms of groove and in terms of really pitch shifting their vocals, sounding disgusting and as sick as you can. So even this band, Pustulant Flesh, they bring in a little bit of that leprosy era of death meets Gorgrine, Carcass. Mephitic Corpse, Undergang, Sequestrum meets death. That's what these kind of bands do. That's what this band does. Strong EP, I'm going to give it a 7.4 out of 10. Up next is a band that I have never heard of until I listened to it. The band's called Balefire. It's a debut full-length album called Empowered by Hatred. It's an independent release. Balefire are from England, United Kingdom. Overall, the sound is blackened death metal. They give you dissonance. They give you slower sort of single-picked kind of riffs. Behemoth meets some of those transcending obscurity bands. But even meets some of that deathcore. I don't like the vocals. There's kind of the vocals go back and forth between more higher and more lower. The higher vocals are a bit better for me than the lower pitched or sort of even mid-range pitched vocals here. But good listen. I think what's cool about 2025 extreme music is even if overall an album or band is not appealing to you, there's not too many releases that are just total trash, that are just 0 out of 10s. There's a couple who are that get pretty close, but Balefire, I'm not enamored by this album. I probably won't even go back to it, but good solid effort here. I'm gonna give Empowered by Hatred a 7 out of 10. Up next, I am going to go with an artist, a band that's been around for a while. It's a single person band. This is Brennan Westermeyer, and he is Thorn. Thorn have 3 full-length albums. I believe it's 3, maybe even 4 full-length albums at this point. If you're into underground metal, you're into transcending obscurity records, you're into stuff that comes out on like Rotted Life, you might be aware of Thorn, but it's still pretty underground at this point. I have checked out all the Thorn releases. They were always albums for me that I listened to a couple times and never revisited. I would always recommend them for folks who like that bedroom sounding one-person style riff heavy death metal. This album though is my favorite so far that Thorn has put out. It is called Nebulous Womb of Eternity. 7 tracks, 37 minutes of music, and just I like overall what the atmosphere does here. It's considered a death doom project, but it's mostly slow-paced death metal, though there's some doom. That final track, Nebulous Womb of Eternity, the title track is the most doom track on here. It's my favorite track on here. Track 6, Gloaming Corporeal Form, is just sort of this soundscape, creepy horror, it puts you in a weird place, and that sets you up for the final track. So really just 6 tracks of music here. Track 2 also has a pretty extended outro that's just like these you're just trying to figure out what these sounds are, and that kind of adds to the experience. It doesn't always add to the experience. It actually does add to the experience for me on this album. It helps you contemplate what the hell is that nebulous womb of eternity on the album cover. I like this album. I'm going to give it another listen. Also, if you like Iron Fortress Records stuff, check out Thorn. I'm going to give this a 7.9 out of 10. Okay, next up is Malthusian with The Summoning Bell. A bigger release, bigger band. They're from their own Relapse Records. They've been around for quite a while, actually, 2012, but this is only their second full-length album. Their first full-length came out in 2018. If I listen to that album, I don't remember it. So it's not a band that I followed closely. I have heard of them. They've been around for a while. I just don't remember listening to that debut album. So this is my first full-length experience from that I can recall. So it's blackened death metal. This is a fairly longish album. It is 8 tracks, 54 minutes of music. The penultimate track is 15 minutes and 30 seconds of music. And again, it was actually my favorite song on this album. The last song, In Chaos Exult, 7 minutes. Not sure it needs to be there because Amongst the Swarms of Vermin, track 7, did a final job of a great job of wrapping up this album, in my opinion. Malthusian brings in that sort of murky sounding production, which I'm not sure entirely works, and maybe I want the production to be a bit cleaner on this album, actually, but Grave Miasma style, Alterage, Triumvir Foul, Portal style death metal. Not as chaotic as those bands, though, and actually deceptively colorful and nuanced in terms of the guitar choices here. When I wasn't focused on the album, I didn't pick up on that too much, but when I locked in and focused on certain parts of this album, very nuanced guitar work, that itself is going to make me come back to this album to really see how much I really like it or not. First impression, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. Okay, final album, and it's the big album of the week. I almost skipped it, which sort of tells you my overall impression of this band, but I'm talking about Blackbraid's Blackbraid 3. I decided to check it out. 10 tracks, 53 minutes of music. This is an independent release. Controversial band in terms of almost in terms of how fast they took off, and in terms of all of the identity and cultural affiliations and associations that the one person here who runs this project, which he goes by the name Skagasoa, which is a Mohawk name that means the witch hawk. Personal bio aside, how's the music, right? So this is the best Blackbraid album so far to me. I checked out the first one, I checked out the second one, and they didn't really do anything for me. Warmer guitar tone. This is close to mellow death, even though I would definitely still consider this a black metal album. But the guitar tone, it's according to the Decibel article, it is standard D tuning, and that's what makes it a bit heavier sounding, and that makes sense to me. Great guitar tone, sounds like Immortal and Dissection. Great riffs, good songwriting, powerful vocals. The drums are programmed on here. There are 4 instrumentals on this album, and the final track, track 10, is a Lord Belial cover. And yeah, I liked this a fair amount, but certain, like the instrumentals, for example, the final song being a cover, certain elements of this still kept bringing it down for me by the end of my listen. So you get 5 tracks of, music that actually has vocals and lyrics on it, if you don't include the cover. So just there's just less here than some of the coverage is portraying. This is not a 9.5 out of 10 kind of album, in my opinion. Good riffs, though. I do enjoy this. I'm going to give this a 7.8 out of 10, and I will leave it at that for now. So yeah, didn't necessarily love anything from this week, but I did get to 5 releases, so I wanted to go through them. I could see Thorn even rising above Malthusian, but Malthusian is the one that I feel like right now has the best chance of staying in my rotation. So here we go. Those are my 5 albums that I checked out this week. If you checked out any of these albums, let me know what you thought about them in the comment section. What other albums that have came out recently should I check out? Talk to you all in the comment section. See you later, and remember to stay heavy. Bye.